Peace. This is Wise for Wise Words Media, back at y'all for another round. And this weekend, we got to see Edgar Berlanga make his DAZN debut against a very difficult opponent in Jason Quigley. For those who are not familiar with Jason Quigley, he pulled an upset victory against Shane Mosley Jr. and he's a very good fighter. I actually enjoyed seeing his corner because one of my favorite fighters is actually his trainer, and that's Irish Andy Lee. Man, I was an Irish Andy Lee fan, man. That guy, he was so entertaining. Like, Andy Lee was never out of a fight. Like, Andy Lee, there would be fights that were very competitive, close fights, or there'll be fights times that Andy Lee was losing. And, out of nowhere, boom, Andy Lee catches you with that one punch, that right hand, and man, he would change the complexion of a fight immediately. And so you knew he was never out of a fight, and you knew you was gonna get a fight when you watch Andy Lee. So it was great to see him. But this was an important fight for Berlanga because it's the first of his DAZN contract, and to be honest, Berlanga, he set the bar very high for himself with those first 16, 17 fights or so, where none of them passed the first round. None of those fights passed the first round. He went like 16 or 17-0 with all first round knockouts, and we got used to that. We got used to him climbing on the ropes, screaming, "I'm a freaking monster." So that's the Berlanga we became accustomed to. But as of late, past few performances, we haven't been getting that version of Berlanga. So Berlanga went back to his original trainer, who he went professional with, and try to restore some of that foundational element that he had before. So this fight ended up being very, very complicated. This fight was a very challenging fight for Berlanga. Quigley used that, he would use his jab almost as like as a measuring stick and almost to keep distance. So he wasn't like pumping it or wasn't like letting it fly from back here. He was keeping his hands out here. Boom. And that was maintaining distance for Berlanga, and it was hard for Berlanga to get inside to work closely. So one of the things that I feel Berlanga needs to do better is, work on some head movement to get inside, because once a fighter is holding out his arms like this, if you're able to get inside of that, now it's harder for that fighter to bring their hand back, and they're susceptible to like hooks. And he eventually knocked Quigley down quite a few times. But you're not able, if you're using, that's what there's a positive to that. You're maintaining distance by keeping that jab out, but the drawback to that is that now all of this is open. So Berlanga took full advantage of that, knocked him down a few times in this fight. And, at the end of the fight, that 12th round is when we got to see, like, the Berlanga that we paid to see. That's the guy right there. The one that in the 12th rounds, it was reminiscent of that Berlanga. Like, he was thinking out more of his attack rather than just like, just swinging. He was being more tactical, more methodical about it. So that's the version of Berlanga that he told us at the end of the fight. That version of me that you saw in the 12th round, where I knocked him down, I was very aggressive, I was more accurate with my punching. That Berlanga, that monster, is who you're gonna see moving forward. So hopefully that is the version of Berlanga that we start getting. What's next for Berlanga is going to be a very good fight. because all roads are pointing to a showdown with Jaime Munguia. And Jaime Munguia finds himself in the same position as Edgar Berlanga. Jaime Munguia was a guy that he was signed to HBO right before HBO went out of business, and he was he was another guy like Berlanga that was just knocking everything out. He was like a pure knockout artist, but as he moved up in weight, Munguia hasn't been as, his performances as of late haven't been as impressive as they were when he was fighting at 154. So now Munguia's at 168, Berlanga's a 168 fighter, and they're both signed to DAZN. So this fight is going to have huge ramifications for either man. Whoever wins that fight is going to be a great confidence booster because they both have names in the sport. And of course, when you add in that added caveat of Mexico versus Puerto Rico, the biggest rivalry in boxing today, the biggest rivalry in boxing is Mexico versus Puerto Rico. When you add that element there, Berlanga being Puerto Rican, Munguia being Mexican, that fight is going to, just that in and of itself is going to sell. So they're both in similar positions. They both want that dynamic victory, and all roads are pointing to both of them meeting each other for that potential dynamic victory. So I'm looking forward to that fight, being that Munguia and Berlanga fought in June. Most certainly that should be a fight that we'll get at the end of the year. So look for that one. But yeah, on that note, I'm Waz for Waz Words Media. Peace.